you reach such a point, you have lost all the discipline. There is no discipline in you. If there is something that is, you feel without it you can't be, you have lost discipline. Hata ikiwa ni kitu kama simu, tuseme for instance. You know, there is somebody akitoka bila simu na asahau, anatembea and feeling that there is something missing, and you become almost disoriented because you have no phone. Or somebody, you know, unazoea rafiki, mnazoeana kiasi kwamba asipokuwa unafeel wewe ni mgonjwa. There you have ceased to be, you have become a slave and lost all the discipline. But discipline is quite something to think about, and fasting makes us understand whether we are disciplined. To punish, to strengthen our faults. That's what this season is telling us. Because if our bodies are not disciplined, we cannot therefore reach spiritual fruits. If our bodies are dependent, and of course that's what happens with all forms of addiction, when you lose all sense of discipline. Hata hiyo chai, unajua unaweza kupenda chai mpaka ukuwe addict wa chai. Au unaweza pia washere kwa vile ya kusema asipokunywa chai kichwa inamuuma. Because ako dependent, you have lost all your freedom. You have become a puppet of that particular thing. Now this season tells us that there are things that are there, they are good, but we must learn to remain independent. We must not become puppets of anything here on earth. We must learn to say no. That is one of the maxims of Saint Josemaria Escrivá. That learn to say no. Learn to say no. That on everything here on earth, learn to say no. Because whether we like it or not, it will not be part of who we are. We are only like ladders to help us, but we can still go via an alternative route. Let us pray that we may not be enslaved by anything, that through this Lenten season we may learn to say no to things that imprison our hearts, that block us from seeing clearly the direction that the Lord wants us to face. We must learn to change character. 40 days. Remember in the Bible, the Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years. This is a time of transformation and a time of preparation. That's why I said even our work here must be tied to our Lenten season. Even what the candidates are aspiring to must be tied to the Lenten season. It must become a reason as to why we are sacrificing everything else for the sake of this. And you know, real character is only seen in those moments of sacrifice. If you can't sacrifice a little bit of your sleep, if you can't sacrifice 1 hour, 2 hours of your weekend, you are yet to develop character. If what moves you are external enticements, you are a slave to those external enticements, external motivation. Of course, I know sometimes you have the words, they play their own role, but someone will tell you psychologically, if you are basically based on these external motivations, what you are lacking is character. If what pushes you to do many things is the external things attached to it, what you lack is character. Character is known when you walk through the desert. Like when Jesus goes through the desert for 40 days, that's when you notice character. And at the age he comes, he has no fools. The devil tells, if you are a son of God, change this into bread. And because of a tested character, he says, man does not live by bread alone. Are you capable of doing something without bread? And bread could be so many other things. Because wanaona wazazi wanatumotivate kwa class. Can you do something without that? Must you be given something in order for you to be inspired? If we are that way, what we lack is character. This time is a time of developing character. Developing to say no to friends that do not add any meaning to our struggle. This is a time of learning that we depend on God. It's a time to prepare to meet God, as Elijah walked for 40 days waiting to meet the Lord. So the desert strips away the illusions that we are that important and places God at the center. The time for fasting strips away that illusion that without such and such I can't be. Let us pray, my dear friends, as we begin this season, to learn to sacrifice, to learn to pray, and our prayer and sacrifice may end up helping those who are in need through almsgiving. Those who are not here on Sunday, I made a joke and I will still make a joke, but my jokes, of course, I don't laugh myself, I laugh from inside. So my joke was that in Uganda we used to have a hype about the Lenten season, and if you look on the calendar, on Friday they draw their fish, not meat. So it's known that we don't eat meat on Wednesday and Fridays during Lenten season. That one is known. But what is normally the spirit of that? It's supposed to be sacrifice. Is that okay? Because then people used to think that meat is the only important thing. But we have more important things. Some of us, perhaps we spend too much money on our phones. Perhaps we spend too much elsewhere, like one watu wenye utembee kero sana. Wenye uende kero sana, maybe. Watu wa kuende kero, sindio? Watu wa kuende kero sana. Sitaki kusema, na ukijaribu kusimile as if you understand as a student and be shocked. You are smiling as if you understand what I'm talking about. So kutembea kero sana. And then sometimes you ask yourself, of what use is it? Is it really building your character, or is making you weaker and weaker in terms of self-control? So you can imagine you have fasted meat 1 piece on Friday, but quietly you go to a care and you buy 1 kilogram of meat, and you finish the whole of it. Now, is that the spirit of fasting? I thought that is not the spirit of fasting. If you don't go and buy a whole cake, by the way, those who eat meat, don't eat on Friday. If you are a Catholic, and of course I know if you are associated, by being here you are associated, so don't eat meat on Friday. That will be totally, so avoid sherehe za Ijumaa. Like right now, tuliita sherehe ya Ijumaa siwezi kuja, because that will be a temptation. You can't take somebody who is hungry close to a very nice meal. You will be put in this man. Don't say yes watanisaidia. Unajipeleka hapo na magari. Avoid such places. It is better that way. So, but there used to be another, but I think that one changed some years ago. But now we insist that they are grown fish, so we eat fish on Friday. So teachers who may not been around, I did say, that fish may even be more expensive than that meat. So when you ask for the fish, certainly you have not understood the spirit of fasting. Denying, first of all. It must be denying myself. So I really call that spirit. I want to see how many students will deny themselves of something. Denying, not contributing. I'm saying how many will deny themselves of something. And I wish we grow in that spirit. That I want to eat meat. Imagine ile nyama unaekanga kwa mfuko ukienda huko kwa klasi. Unasema for the next 40 days I'm not going to eat meat. You don't have to tell anyone, you don't have to consult anyone. It's about developing your character and self-control. But there are things that are good, very self attract. Lakini unasema sita kula mpaka 40 days end. You know, I left sugar because of rebellion. Where was Fiji? It was a rebellion. How I left sugar. It was way in the year 2001. We were in Mabanga Major Seminary. This Archbishop of Kisumu was our vice rector. Our vice rector is like the assistant of the principal. Kazi ya assistant principal ndio tu ile ya vice. Mambo ya discipline, mambo ya routine, yeye ndiye ana implement hata kwa seminary. So alikuwa anafuatilia mambo kabisa. Walikuwa wanakorogea sukari, wanakorogea sukari kwa jikoni, wanaleta kwa meza. But some people used to put a lot of sugar. Yaani kuna watu wanaweka kama asali. Wanajaza sukari nyingi. So sukari inaisha within few days, sukari inaisha. So he announced, now sugar will be korogewa in the kitchen huko. Nikakasirika. By the way, that's how I earned my first suspension. I was so annoyed that I stood up, raised my hand, and asked Father. He was still a priest then. If you ask him, by the way, he knows. It's not a secret, public story. I asked him, Father, will we be assisting those ones who are misusing sugar when we add them? Wacha tuwaone hapa wakioga, ndio tujue hao ndio watu hawaelewi. Because if you do that, it will not be giving them character. It will not be forming them. Because when they go out there, how do you know how they use sugar? Wacha tuwafundishe hapa. Najua nilikuwa napinga mambo yenye staff imefanya nini? Imeamua. Sema no, it should not be that way. Akaniangalia hivi akasmile. No, he had known me for quite a long time. So just smile and I knew hapa sasa moto imewa. You know when you say something and you are not being confronted by those ones in authority, be very careful. Yangu ilikuwa imeshapikwa, imekuwa ready. I was only waiting for the letter. Suspension 1 year. Nyinyi mnasuspendwa how long? So Mr. Principal, when I was in Lutas, I was serving suspension when we met there. 1 year suspension. But you know, my point was, that's how I stopped taking sugar. I said, kama sukari napinga, ati sukari ndio inanifanya nateseka namna hii. Achana na sukari bwana. Usizungumuze mambo ya sukari. Imagine I earned 1 year of suspension because of unaona vile kitu kingine na sugar, na ilikuwa kijiko kama 2 ama 3 maji. Hata ungeenda kwa barabara ungenunua hiyo sukari na ukuje ujikorogee mwenyewe. Imagine a sugar kidogo tu ya vijiko 2-3. You become so agitated, so annoyed that why are you making such an announcement? By the way, sometimes I've seen in some other places, you hear students have banned school because of mafuta ya mboga haikutosha kwa sukuma. Mafuta ya mboga haikutosha kwa nini? Kwa sukuma. Sure. You know, that is when you realize you have become a slave. Come a small thing like that. Yes, it's important. But if it can stop your thinking completely to the extent that you do not look at any other thing, you don't look at the other side, you have become a slave, and you have lost all character. Nakuta mtu I've had people in my village there, mtu alifukuza bibi yake kwa sababu ya imondo. Unajua imondo? Mwanamume anafukuza bibi kwa sababu ya imondo. Mnapigana kwa nyumba kwa I wonder what? Even Ongaro sang something like that. Jamaa alinunua hii mbuta hii ya kichwa kubwa namna hii, Akakuja vile wanaleta, anauliza na wapi kichwa? Hii samaki wapi kichwa? You have lost character because of such small things. It's also, of course, those are funny stories. But I'm only saying, if you don't dissociate yourself with certain things, they make you a slave. And when you become their slave, you lose character. You can't learn to say no. Let us pray that the Lord may give us the strength, the energy to go through this spiritual season, that at the end we may be able to reap all the spiritual goods of this season.